funny but thoughtful look at the LGBTQIA plus community.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing today?
Fabulous, great here.
Yes, it's Joel Tatum and Charlotte Shotgun back. Charlotte's back in the studio
after like a whole month.
After almost a whole month, and we're just glad to have you back because we know that you've been going through some stuff. So I'm glad that you're okay and everything's good and
everything's back to normal.
Well, somewhat back to normal. Somewhat back to normal. So, you're just back and just doing your thing. So, we have a guest on today.
A returning guest.
A returning guest. Someone we had over last summer. He was actually, honestly, he is. I think he was our first guest.
I don't know. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, so. I think you were our first guest for the.
I think he was the first online guest.
Yeah, I think you were our first on.
I remember you said something about like a rapper.
Okay, I was gonna say.
Oh no! Yes,
it's not DJ.
I'm
DJ.
Sorry, Kirsten.
Yeah, I heard you say it in the other podcast. I'm like, it's not DJ.
I know it's not DJ.
He's gonna like fly over here and fight us.
I know he's gonna fly. He already wants to fight me. Because I'll see him on Instagram. But on Instagram, he keeps saying DJ, and I'm like, why does he keep doing that? It just confuses me. So
does he say DJ?
Yeah, sometimes he does that. So I'm
I don't know.
So I just go, okay, hey Kirsten. But I'm happy to have back on the show Clayton Yonkin of Neon Lights.
I'm happy to be back.
Local anime specialist, so to speak, putting out his own show here, coming up shortly, getting closer and closer to the premiere date.
It is.
And we've had there have been a lot of things that have happened up to this point. You had a lot of, you had to cancel some things, you had to move some things around, you lost some people, you gained some people, you had a pretty tumultuous time trying to get everything together. But in December, you finally got everyone into the studio to start recording, doing table reads and recording. So talk about that. Tell us all about it.
So let's start at kind of where I've been and what's happened with the show since we last talked. So something just wasn't feeling right about some of the character models. So we went through a whole character redesign process from the ground up. So I hired another outside artist who started taking my work and kind of reworking it, and I'm really satisfied with the results. So the character models all went through an update. We had booked the recording studio place, and that fell through. So I had to find another place for us to record, and finally was able to get that booked. We had a main cast member that we had to replace. So it's been a lot.
Was it the actor that was playing Teo? If I recall,
it was, and unfortunately, the reason that he had to be replaced was I signed the contract with the new location, and he never got back to me. And deadlines were approaching, and I couldn't jeopardize the whole production on one person. So he was replaced, and we found a great actor, local actor in Houston that stepped in. I had just kind of an open casting call. Facebook, and I got some good responses, and he was one of them. So we've got, let's see, from there, we is the empirical me. I have been animating pretty much nonstop. I've been updating, some of the still art. It's just been kind of a long process. We were initially supposed to premiere in 3 weeks, but that got pushed back, but we premiered June, so it didn't get pushed back by much. But our original
June 25th, I think. It's June 26th. I was off by date. June 26th.
Yep.
7:30. Is it 7:30? What time is
I think it'll post at midnight Central Time.
Okay.
Yeah, because with YouTube, I can schedule for them to post. I think I'm just going to have it set to go at midnight.
Okay.
I think. But our original soundtrack actually comes out in 2 weeks, April 14th.
Which is Light Up the Darkness, so
that's our main single.
That's your main single.
But we have 5 other songs on there.
I feel like one of them is in Spanish, isn't it? I think maybe maybe I read something else. I was looking at the thing and it said something in Spanish, like, oh, they're gonna.
Well, one of the characters, Teo, is Hispanic,
Okay.
and so it was probably one of his captions on there.
Okay.
But we have 6 tracks and then 6 of the instrumentals for those tracks, and they're all going to be on the original soundtrack, which comes out on iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, anywhere you get digital music in 2 weeks.
That's amazing. Tell us. I'm gonna get a little bit more volume on here for you because I'm gonna make sure that the audience hears you clearly. But the whole process you're doing, what kind? I mean, do you have a team helping? I mean, I feel like most of the stuff you've done on your own, and you're putting together music, and you're getting ready for a premiere, and then you have to audition all your actors, and then you have to sit down for table reads, and then you have to record, get in the studio and record. How are you doing all this?
And don't forget, working a full-time job.
And working at the same time, and you got a man at home, so... It's a lot, I'm not going to lie. Thankfully, I have somebody that's doing all of the sound editing, so that's one thing off my plate that I don't need to worry about. Our composer has been fantastic. I just shoot her an email with kind of what I want, what I want the feel to be, what I want the song to sound like, and then she sends me back a couple options. Okay.
But it's for the most part, it's just me. Honestly, I don't know how I'm doing it.
Yeah, because you're like executive producer, director, camera guy, boom guy.
Pretty much. And we didn't even have time for table reads because our time in the space was so limited.
Oh, wow.
The way that it happened was we recorded each episode twice. We recorded the episode, and then the first recording was essentially the table read. And then once they got familiar with the episode and kind of the pacing, we recorded it again. And then I was making notes, and then we went through and did kind of line pickups here and there of lines that needed to be redone.
Okay.
So, yeah, we got 49 episodes done in 4 days.
Oh, my God.
You have, 49 episodes? And these are 24-minute episodes? These are...
They're 15 to 20 minutes.
15 to 20-minute episodes?
We have about 36 hours of recording.
Oh, my God.
That is ridiculous, Clay. And for the people in the audience, and I don't mean no harm when I say this, Clayton, but it looks like you've been up for like days. I mean, and when I say that, I don't mean that you have like bags under your eyes and all this other stuff.
I do.
I mean, from the mannerisms and everything else, it's like, I'm just so tired. And you just got a shot too, so
sure did. It's one of those things where I don't really feel it until kind of the weekend, and I start to just kind of crash. But definitely the second COVID shot really took a lot out of me for the COVID vaccine. So I've been kind of on bed rest for the last 24 hours, 36 hours. Not really working on the show, but give me a day and I'll be back at it.
Well, you got your second shot. So you have 2 weeks, and then it's time for a premiere party. I better have my invite. I better have an invite somewhere. Don't worry, I get my shot on the 16th, so I will be fine by the time you have your premiere party. So,
excellent.
So we'll be ready for that.
Now, I got to see, I sent you some screeners. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yes, we can. Yes, you did send me some screeners, and we can talk about it a little bit. But we could only talk about it a little bit because...
Just a little bit.
I, unfortunately, am not the greatest keeper of secrets. So I thought to myself when I was watching these screeners, I'm going to have to keep my fucking mouth shut when it comes to certain aspects of the screeners, because I have questions that I cannot ask on here right now. They'll have to be off the show. And I'm going to ask those questions later, and then because I know that you're doing a lot of, you did the focus group, so I know that you had to do some reshoots.
Yeah.
And do some things.
That's the thing is that we can't really do reshoots because all of the audio was already recorded. So what I'm having to do is go back and rework the audio that I have and retool it in a way that's a little bit more smooth.
Okay, so you and Charlotte, you won't believe this, but then he sends me a teaser about something that's going to be happening later on that I still can't talk about.
You sure can.
That I cannot talk about. And so I'm about to burst, Clayton, because I'm going to have to hold all this stuff in. You should not have sent me all that. I did not need...
Well, you said you had questions, and
Clayton, and I did discuss this. I slid into his DMs, and we did discuss this, and I had questions, and this and that. But you know what? Let's skip over that.
Okay, that's fair.
Because, like I said, I will start talking about certain aspects that I got to keep quiet about. So. Okay. I want to wait till the premiere, and then we'll talk about all that stuff after the premiere. Because, like I said,
great.
I have questions.
And that's the thing is, I'm ready to talk about this stuff with people.
I want so desperately to ask you questions about stuff, and I don't even know what I could possibly ask that will not give away certain aspects. I've been sitting around all day trying to figure out what the hell kind of questions can I ask him that will skirt around it, that we'll do a little flyover, but then someone will go, oh, is that a teaser? And I'm like, oh fuck, I did not read.
I will say the way that the show is set up is that each episode ends not necessarily with a cliffhanger, but with just a little something to keep you coming back. So it always drops these kind of breadcrumbs along that, like, you get the information when I want you to have the information, if that makes sense from a storytelling perspective.
Are you going to be dropping the whole season, or is it going to be weekly, or?
It's going to be weekly. So 49 episodes, so it'll take the course of an entire year.
Okay, so we're not going to be binge watching. I'm not going to be spending an entire weekend, which I would love to do, by the way, and binge watch.
Well, you're more than welcome to.
I mean, I don't know if okay, so there are 15 to 20 minute episodes. There are 49 episodes. I'm not a mathematician here, so I'm not going to try to figure out how many episodes I can get through in an entire weekend. I could probably do half, maybe half.
One of the things that I've kind of learned from the big streaming services and their kind of schedules is, like, when Netflix drops a show, they drop the entire season, right?
Yeah.
And it's really big for that weekend or for
of course
a couple weeks. But when you have things like Disney Plus did WandaVision and Amazon did The Boys, where it was every week, and it kept that momentum going, and so it kept that engagement up. So,
and I have to say that as much as I hated the idea of WandaVision not dropping all the episodes in one, I'm actually kind of glad they did, because I actually was anticipating the next episode week after week. So actually, I was actually on board with the fact. No, I'm going to say this. I was not on board with the fact that they were going to do a week-to-week episode. I wanted them to drop all the episodes so that I could sit around and talk about it with my friends. But I also love the fact that once they did it, and then I got to episode 2, and I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to be okay with this. I think I'm going to be okay from being more episodic than everything being dropped all at once. So actually, it worked out a lot better, and it just built up the suspense more. So I think it's a great idea now to go back to the old way of doing things and saying, hey, let's just do this week to week.
Right. Now, I will say, because, and I am giving myself permission to talk about this.
Okay.
So the show is divided into 5 acts, and each act is kind of like its own mini story arc. And Act 1, our introduction, is the shortest of the 5 acts. It's 5 episodes, and each episode focuses on a certain character, and it tells their story. It tells the same story from a different perspective. So those 5 episodes will be dropping all at once.
Okay.
So, but after that, then it's going to move to weekly release.
Okay. So kind of like when and folks, I did watch a bit of I did watch some previews. So I have the job. That makes me feel good when I get to share it with my friends, and I'm like, well, I already kind of got the jump on it. So
you liked it before it was popular.
Yes, exactly. So I already have a knowledge of what's going to happen, which character is doing what, and where they're from, and snippets. Now, it wasn't whole stories; it was snippets. So I got a basic idea of each character. I'm not going to say which characters because, like I said, I'm going to kind of keep it on the DL. On the DL.
Keep it on the DL.
Keep it on the DL. But I did get a synopsis of the characters and all that, and basically, I can probably bleep this, but can I say origin?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of got I got bits and pieces of the origin stories for each character, which were quite fascinating. And for the audience, just in case, I'm going to read out the cast because I went through the whole thing of making sure, Clayton, that I got caught up because last year, you were just getting it started. It was summer. It was the summer of COVID.
Sure was.
Which for a lot of artists was the hardest time of our lives. A lot of us were starting all over. A lot of us were trying to figure out what direction we were going to go in. And like I said, you were the first or second person. Charlotte just came onto the show at the time, and actually, to be quite honest, my first actual interview was with Charlotte. And we were talking about her traveling around the country in an RV and all of her adventures and all that other stuff. So she was actually the first person to help me restart the show. So we had gone through that whole summer of COVID and everything else. And the last time we talked, there were a lot of, like I said, there were a lot of things that you had to do from home that you couldn't do. A lot of things that you had to put on hold. So let's catch everybody up on that and how the adjustments in that process all the way up into now, because now things are moving a lot faster than they did. And
they sure are. I would say the biggest moment that the show finally started to feel real was that first day of recording when I heard the show for the first time. Because like I said, we couldn't get together and do table reads. And so that's when things really started to feel real. And then after that, it just kind of snowballed, and it was like, oh my gosh, when am I going to get these episodes done? And it was actually during the winter storm, we were fortunate enough to have still had power. And so I was like, you know what? I got some time on my hands. Let me bite the bullet and take the plunge and animate this thing. And so that's when I did the first episode.
And so far, 2021 has been
It's been pretty progressive.
Is progressive the word everybody use?
I've been super progressive.
Well, I honestly, I think with all the stuff that is, I mean,
like we're so used to like dodging shit, going through shit from 2020 now in 2021. We expect shit to be thrown at us. So
exactly.
We're ready to take the punches.
Yeah, exactly. And I think as artists, because we spent so much time,
we spent basically a year in our house trying to figure out what the fuck we're gonna do, and now it's just like, okay, we're ready to be at home for another year. But
well, that's the thing with kind of how this show came about, is, I mean, I started working on it as kind of a way, like a grieving process, because I needed something to pour like my creative energy into. And then COVID and the lockdown happened. And so it was, let's do this thing. And I took, a basic story outline and turned it into a script.
Which, if you guys want to go back and hear the episode where we really got into his creative process, please go back and listen to that episode, because it was very informative. And I'm going to tell you something, Clayton. It was very eye-opening for me, because, like I said, I went through a crash and burn with the show beforehand, and in fact, before Charlotte came around, I was actually thinking about closing down the show for good, because my creative juices weren't there, and I just, I was going through the whole COVID, I'm going to say COVID depression kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like,
I think that's
I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. Are we going to be stuck in the house forever, or is life ever going to return to normal? Are people going to turn into zombies and start eating each other down the street? All kinds of stuff that you never think would ever happen.
I think we all thought that at one point.
Most ridiculous stuff.
I think we all thought that at one point. There was going to be zombies. I was ready for it.
Exactly. And to be quite honest, I was literally ready to just like buy a bottle of Jack Daniels and just wait to be eaten in the street. Just call it a day, because I'm like, I can't deal with it anymore.
Like, take me.
But like I said, seeing other creatives and being able to talk to other creatives and figuring out their process and everything else, I think helped me along the way as well. So if I've never thanked you for that before, I should thank you for that now, Clayton, because
thank you.
Going through your
talking to us.
Yeah, because you're seeing your process and the work that you put into it made me go, you know what, I just need to put work into it, and we can make this happen. And like I said, it's just been an amazing ride. And like I said, you and I have been talking back and forth on Instagram for a while, and I knew I was going to have you back on the show, and I was going to wait until your show had premiered, but there had been delays and stuff, and you had been working through stuff, so I'm like, well, let's just wait. But you know what? I couldn't wait any longer. I'm like, I can't wait any longer. Clayton needs to come back on the show. And can I say, which is, Clayton, this is super odd. When I was posting for the episode for the day on Instagram, doing like a pre-episode with the pictures and everything else, because I just basically pulled the picture that I had from you last year in the neon lights, which I did not know if you had changed the look of it. I really just wanted the neon lights part to be on there, because I didn't know if you had made changes or what have you, and if you had changed characters around or anything else. So I don't want people to expect to see that on there, so I just had to work with what I had to work with. But I mean, when I saw it, and I'm like, I think I spelled Clayton's first and last name correctly without even thinking about it, without going back to look or anything else. And I'm like, because I'm like, I wonder if he's going to look at it and go, did he spell I think you spelled my name wrong.
I saw the post, but I was in that kind of like COVID vaccine like haze that I didn't really look at it. I'm going to look at it right now, because if you did spell it right, you would be the first.
No, I spelled it correctly because I went back to check your email, because I had to do the email for the show, and I'm like, oh my God, I spelled it correctly the first time. I can't.
How were you spelling it before?
Exactly the same way, but I hadn't used his full name in so long that when I typed in his last name, it was just natural. It just was so natural. And then I'm like, wait, let me spell check this and make sure I spelled it wrong. And I'm like, I spelled it right the first fucking time. So it was kind of cool. It's just like I said, it's just one of those things where it's like, I really appreciate what you're doing, and I really appreciate the fact that it really makes me happy that you're here in Houston and you're doing this from Houston. And a lot of people don't realize that a lot of anime that's dubbed is dubbed here in Houston. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people did with Sentai. I think it's Sentai Studios.
Sentai is here, and Funimation is based in Dallas. So most of the dubs are done here in Texas. Yeah, most of the dubs are done here in Texas. A lot of them are done here in Houston. So if you're looking Houstonians, if you're looking at some of your favorite dubbed, and I'm not going to have the. Please don't send me any hate in the comments about sub and dub, because I'm not getting into that argument. I'm not getting whatever you prefer is fine, and I've never wanted to. I don't understand how my nerd culture gets so wrapped up in whether or not there's sub or dub. I think there is room for both. It's just a matter of preference. It's like anything, like DC and Marvel. Like you can like both. Exactly. Exactly. There's nothing wrong with that.
Because I will tell you this, there are some things that I would prefer dubbed. Like I'm wearing a Cowboy Bebop T-shirt right now. I prefer it dubbed. I've heard the subbed version and I didn't like it. I prefer it dubbed, but I watched Naruto and I want it subbed because I can't stand the dubbing on that. So
watching My Hero Academia is the one I'm watching now.
Yes, the new episode of the new season just came out, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm waiting for the dub version.
Okay, my actor that played Teo was the one that recommended it, and I was like, you know what, I've tried watching it, I can't get into it, and he was like, give it another shot. So I did, and I'm already on season 3, and I started it.
I know. I was also told the same thing, and I said the same thing. Oh, I can't really get into it. I've already seen this anime style before. Why would I want to watch it again? And then suddenly I'm on season 3. Yeah, I'm the same way. So, yeah, sometimes it can hit you a little bit differently than others. So, but let's get back to you. We need to do a T-shirt exchange though, because I want a Neon Lights Cast
shirts. This was
I want a Neon Lights Cast T-shirt. I'm getting shirts for this show, Kevin, next week. I want a Neon Lights Cast shirt. I will send you one of our shirts if you send me one of your shirts.
I don't have any more is the thing, and they were so expensive to print. But I have patches, so I have these on hand.
That's cool.
They are. Oh, and there's a sticker in that one. These were patches that I had made. I'm doing little kind of contests as we build up to release to help.
Which I'm not eligible for. I'm not eligible for those.
Yes, you are. What do you mean you're not eligible?
No, I am not eligible. I'm doing a podcast where I know all the inside dish on everything that you're doing. I am not eligible for your contest,
yes, you
and you know it.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. I promise you.
Okay.
Everyone is eligible.
All right, because you're gonna pull my name and go, oh.
And we're actually partnering up with another show called Master Force, and we're giving away an Xbox Series X, a Nintendo Switch, and a Cameo.
What?
Which, 100%.
Am I eligible to register? Yes. Okay, here we go. Everybody in this room already raised their hand and said, "Can we do it?" Yes, we're all eligible. It's fine. I want to win an Xbox, although I will probably trade it in for a PS5.
My husband got a PS5, and I haven't even had time to sit down and play it.
Well, I want to get a PS5, but I've already spent thousands of dollars on equipment for the show and everything else, and I'm like, I just can't spend another $500 to $600 on PS5 right now. It'll have to wait.
I understand.
So it'll have to wait. So I want to get into, because I went through the cast list. Let's talk about the cast here.
Sure.
We have Stephen Sullivan playing Cal. Mm-hmm. We have McKenna Raina playing Kira. We have Miles. Now it's AGEE.
AG.
Which AG. Okay, I kind of find it was a AG or a GE or something like. I want to make sure I pronounce them correctly. We have Emily Kwan as Juno. Dominique Kelly as your Tail. I wrote the little asterisk on the side that Tail was recast, but I didn't know if Dominique Kelly was the guy that you recast. This is the guy who's on the who's
Dominic Kelly is the voice actor for Tail.
He's a voice actor for Tail now. We have Monisha Chetty for Audrey, and let's before I get into the other cast, let's talk about your characters, Audrey, Emmett, Sylvia, Oliver, Adam, because wait. Let's talk about those characters because I'm actually curious because of something that you sent me, and I'm trying to fish out something and I cannot tell the audience.
And I will trust me. If you say something that I don't want answered.
So, and I'm guessing that these are going to be the supporting characters. How are you going to flesh out the stories for the supporting characters?
So Sylvia and Emmett and Audrey kind of serve as the mentors to the main cast in their own unique way. So within each episode, I try to have different pairings. So there will be scenes where Miles, who plays Ryder, his character has a scene with Sylvia, and then Kira will have a scene with Sylvia. So you'll see the characters grow and develop, but they are kind of our non-combat team.
Are these okay? Are these the? I'm trying to make sure I ask are these the scientists who are working at ARC who are going to be the people who help develop the main characters help them with the use of the technology and the things that they will be doing?
So,
and I hope I'm asking the right questions.
Yes, so the main premise for your viewers is that there are 5 people that kind of get superpowers. It's a futuristic superhero show, and Sylvia, Emmett, Audrey, and Oliver are all scientists who work for this corporation where this experiment has gone wrong, and so they serve as the mentors and kind of the brains behind the operation.
And how are you gonna? It's almost like you built a video game. You have built an entire world here. You've done a lot of world building here. You have certain districts that have certain things going on in each district, and this kind of thing. How are you going to? What's the plan on how to kind of differentiate each district, telling stories from each district?
So my thought process with the writing was that I need to treat the setting like a character.
Yes.
And like characters, it will evolve and it will change. And things happen to the city and within the city that causes the overall dynamic or theme of an arc to shift. So as long as I approached it from that aspect of giving the city a life of its own, I felt like it was strong enough to kind of hold the story I wanted to tell.
That sounds fun. Are we going to see elements of the LGBTQ community thrown in here, drag culture?
No. The answer is no. For now, mainly because I couldn't find a way to fit that in with the story that I needed to tell for this first year. If we are fortunate enough to go beyond year 1, I have the skeleton of a story in place where those elements will be introduced. but mainly I wanted to. I thought that if I couldn't do it justice and have a logical reason for it being in there, I didn't want to introduce it. And it's crazy that with 49 episodes, there wasn't time to introduce it. But we've got so much story to tell. But I have elements of that definitely if we are fortunate enough to get a year or two.
Your 49 episodes, are they going to be broken down into? Is this season 1 basically, or all these episodes can be involved in a? How are you doing the seasons?
So I initially had it season 1, 2, 3, 4, and that just felt like they were separate stories, and it was all telling one overarching story. So that's when I had the idea to change it from seasons to year. So year 1, act 1, act 2, act 3, act 4, act 5, taking kind of the old school, like Shakespearean style of storytelling, where those plays had 5 acts. So yeah. Season 1 became Act 1, Season 2 became Act 2, so on and so forth.
So, well, let's see, where are we? Oh, you know what? We need to take a little bit of a break because I have to, I'm going to have to insert said commercials, and I want commercials to be overlapping in conversations that we're having, because I've noticed that when I try to do commercials for Spreaker, they will sometimes overlap conversation, so I try to take little breaks so that they can put their commercials in, which I'm not going to say that I'm particularly happy with some of the but I'm not at the stage yet where I can be like, hey, please don't put Oral Roberts University. Yeah, exactly.
What was it?
I think there was Oral Roberts University, and I'm like,
I used to live right across the street from there.
I think that was in the earlier days, and I had to send a message to the people at Spreaker, who took care of it, by the way, and they were very, very helpful in it, that I did not feel that as an LGBTQ show, having a university that does not recognize me as a person, is not appropriate. So they were very helpful with that, and they actually kind of moved it to somewhere else. So that was a thing which I do love about Spreaker, is that you can actually talk to them and they will fix certain things. But let's take a little bit of a break and for a commercial, and I'm going to insert our little commercial jingle that we play that. I'm paid for all. So I'm going to use it as much as I possibly can. So we're going to take a little bit of a break, and we will be right back.
You tight mess of a podcast.
And we are back. And we're back with Clayton Yonkin, executive producer, director, camera guy, boom guy, writer, craft service table guy, writer. Is there anything else I'm leaving out? Am I leaving anything else?
Craft services.
I already said craft services. and for craft services, his table is cheese and crackers and maybe a bottle of water.
There you go.
So there we go. So Charlie, you wanna take over for a little bit and do your thing? Got some questions, some things you want to.
As far as questions is, what made you pick out their voice actors?
That's a good question. So because of COVID and the pandemic, when I knew this was going to be a thing, I went with people that I had either worked with in the past or I've seen their work. And so I'm trying to think. 4 of the actors are actually former students of mine.
Oh, cool.
2 of them I had worked with professionally. 1 of them was in my old D&D group. And the one that we had to replace, he was a former student. And then when I had to replace the actor, that's when I sent out kind of this casting call. So yeah, it was just mainly people whose work I was familiar with and who knew how I worked as well. Because we had a lot to get done in those 4 days of recording, and so I needed people that could pick up really quickly and take notes and follow direction really quick.
How long did you guys record per day?
So we had 8-hour scheduled blocks, and there were 2 days where we went over, and so we went over by like an hour and a half, 2 hours each day, and it was because of outside noise was interfering with the recording, and so we would have to pause and hold sometimes what would feel like every 2 minutes because there was people out in the hallway or there was a car passing by, or so sometimes it was really start stop.
That's cool. As far as like everything else, what has been like the most difficult thing that you had to face with the whole recording and meeting and linking everyone up?
Well, the one I was most scared for was actually animating the episodes. Because this is all new to me, and I messed around with the equipment, and I knew how to do it, but actually taking those and compiling it into episodes that followed a story and followed a script, and that was the most challenging, was having the nerve to actually get started. But once I got started, it came super quick, and I was able to knock out an episode every 2 or 3 days.
How long would it usually take you to make an episode?
It depends on how creative I want to get. In some of the episodes, and in some of the screeners that I sent out, there are scenes where it's like takes place in a car, and there is, if you look like in the back windshield of the car, you can see like the street lights moving, and you can see like it looks like they're actually driving. And so if I'm feeling creative with a shot and trying to figure out how to make it, it can take a little bit longer. In Act 2, Episode 1, there's a scene it's a conversation that takes 6 minutes. And so I had to figure out how to make that visually interesting. So I had to essentially shoot the scene from 12 different angles. And then edit it all together, cut it up and splice it all together so that it wasn't just you looking at people talking for 6 minutes. Like it kept it visually interesting. So that's been...
Yeah, like the scenery's changed. Or the angles changed.
That's been a challenge, is to figure out how to make some of these just dialogue scenes engaging to the audience.
And as far as the animation is concerned, I did see that there were a couple of notes that you did get from people about maybe the fact that it was a little bit stilted in certain ways and this and that. And when I watched, I recognized that there's been major improvements in the flow and of how the characters move and everything else. How have you been able to address those issues when you've... because you did have a few critics who were like, well, it's a little too stilted, this kind of thing. How were you able to address the...
Well, I have to approach it from two different viewpoints. One is that I want to make the show that I would want to watch.
Okay.
I realize that the trap within that, though, is that if I make the show I want to watch, I'm only making it for an audience of one. And so that's when I decided to come up with the focus group and be like, okay, I need some outside opinions here from people that aren't attached to the show, because my cast will tell me they love it, right? I need somebody that's not involved to look at it objectively. And so we had a focus group where I sent out the first 5 episodes, and then we all came back together and met. And what was supposed to be a 30-minute conversation ended up being an hour and a half.
Oh, wow.
And it was, I would say it was split about 50-50 of things that need to be fixed, and then things that they really enjoyed. And so I'm happy with that. So a lot of really good ideas came out of that, which is why I decided to recut some of the first 5 episodes to give it a better flow, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But, it's a learning process. I think definitely I found my groove, and I only can hope to improve from here.
So, because I think that as time goes on, and I haven't. When the premiere comes out and we start really getting into the show and everything else, I think eventually, when it comes to pacing and all that other stuff, those issues will work themselves out. Every animator who starts off the same way. If you look at Trey Parker and I'm sorry, Matt, I can't remember his name, from South Park, when they were initially going in and doing the animation themselves and this and that and blah, 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 blah. And then eventually, as the show became more popular, they handed it over to someone else. It's always the same when it comes to new animators. When they're first starting out, it's the same. It happened the same way with Family Guy. It happened the same way with The Simpsons, when The Simpsons premiered on the Tracy Ullman Show, which a lot of people do not remember.
I do.
That kind of thing. So when new animators, and like I said, I'm going back through old posts and all this other stuff, and I think one of the biggest issues that I saw was, well, the animation's kind of stilted and this and that and blah, 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 blah. And I thought, that's an animator starting off for the first time. And
one of the things
are going to be perfect.
Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you up.
No.
One of the things that I was really concerned about is the quote-unquote action scenes or the fight scenes. Because with the program that I'm using, it doesn't allow for that type of movement. And so when it gets into like the action-heavy scenes, it plays out more like a comic book with still images in frames. And I was really concerned that would kind of be too jarring for the audience to watch. These people having conversations, the arms are moving, the lips are moving, to it just being like still image, fade in, still image, fade in. But everyone in the focus group actually really enjoyed that style. So that was kind of a big relief, because I was really concerned that would be kind of a deal breaker.
Which, by the way, Josh Whedon did with the X-Men, using the comic book frame, stilted movement kind of thing, which worked.
Right.
Because he was able to do that, and maybe I think he only did like 6 or 7 episodes. But
you're talking about the Astonishing X-Men.
The Astonishing X-Men series, which he did, and he did it in basically a comic book form where it was frame by frame like a comic book, but the characters didn't flow in the way that a normal animation flowed. It flowed a little bit differently, and it worked. And I think that with your style, I think it will work. But if you want to grow it and change it at any time, you can do that down the line. I mean, you're basically doing most of this by yourself. So
eventually, if we're lucky and fortunate enough to continue, I would like to kind of experiment and tool with like full motion fight scenes. But for now, I'm happy with what I can do and within my limitations.
And I might be mistaken with this, because I think I might be mistaken with this statement, and if I am, just let me know. Are there? Because I've noticed that some people who've commented, do we have a fan base from the Power Rangers?
Yeah,
What's going on? I've noticed that there has been a little bit of talk from the Power Rangers fan base, and I'm like, what is this happening?
That's definitely one of the shows that I grew up on, and I wanted this show to have that similar vibe to like the Saturday morning, kids lineup, which is why I'm doing that weekly release, because it's something I would look forward to as a kid growing up. But it's definitely, that's one of the shows that's heavily inspired by, you have, this team of 5 and brightly colored costumes, kicking ass. But it's one of those things where, because it's an original IP, I can't say it's based on this or based on that. But it definitely draws heavy inspiration from. And I think that community has really attached itself to the show, which I'm all about because, like I said, that's a show I love.
Yes, I did notice that community really did latch onto what you're doing. I think, and if that community is latching on, I think you're really going to have a successful show here, because if they're really latching on to that idea.
And there are several like fan series shows within that fandom that have done really well and have found their own kind of following, and so just kind of piggybacking on the work of others, people that came long before I did. I'm just the first one to do it animated.
That's true. But they piggybacked off of older shows like Voltron and the rest of those who also did the same concept. So it's always how do we do this concept and do it different. And anime has always been really great at that. They might take the same 5 themes, but they make those 5 themes the most interesting things on the planet. And I think it's always about reinventing the wheel, not inventing a new wheel. So and to see an American-based idea of that, I think and to see a Houston-based idea. Look, I don't mean no harm. Fuck America. It's a Houston-based idea of this. Fuck California, New York, Houston. To see a Houston-based idea of this, I think it's amazing. And like I said, I'm just one of your biggest fans, and I'm going to be honest. And I have not even seen the premiere yet, and it's already marked on my calendar.
What's crazy is that there's actually 2 other groups in Houston doing something similar. There's a group called Godai Warriors and another one called Jamingers, and we're all Houston based, and we're all kind of basing it off of that Power Rangers or Super Sentai kind of feel. So just the creativity that's flowing out of Houston has been excellent to see.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, I feel like that this has been the summer. I think 2020 has actually been the year of creativity. I've never seen so much creativity coming out of being in a horrific situation.
What else are you going to do if you're locked up in your house for 6 months?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because you can only watch so much porn, and you can only drink so much. You got to figure out what you're going to do. You got to figure out what you want to do, and especially if you're working in industries that, let's face it, a lot of industries. I think COVID really exposed the fact that a lot of industries are probably going to be gone after a while, and a lot of people are trying to figure out how they're going to survive in this. And I think that technology has really shown us what we can do in this time and how creative we can be.
What we're capable of doing.
Yeah, what we're capable of doing. So I really do think that the technology is, I really do think that the summer of COVID has really brought out the creative spirit in a lot of people. And I'm excited, especially here in Houston. I'm so excited. And like I said, I've been able to talk to a lot of different people from a lot of different groups, and I'm really having a good time right now. So it's been a blast. But I don't want to make this about me. This is about you.
Well, and coming from a background of being a theater director, when there's no theater happening, and let's face it, it won't be happening like we knew it for a while.
Yeah, exactly.
I needed to have something that I could use that creative muscle on, and so this show has really been about learning. More so from a film standpoint, because I have to think about framing the picture has been a challenge, but a good one, and it's helped me grow as an artist.
So, you know what, I want to say this. Clayton, I don't even know where to go with this, because this has been the most fun I have had talking to you about. I mean, and I felt bad because we're in my wheelhouse with Charlotte. we get into drag and performing and all the shows that go with it and all the technical issues and all the things that go with it. And I'm like, I enjoy myself because I enjoy watching this. But now we're like on the other side where I'm also starting to talk to artists like you who are doing creative things when it comes to anime and nerd culture and all the things that, kind of a little bit more in my wheelhouse. But gay and from Houston. And gay and from Houston. And I'm really just enjoying being able to talk to creative spirits like you guys and doing your thing. Anything else you want to throw in? I'm going to say this, Clayton. I'm gonna put it. I am gonna put a T-shirt to the side for you because I still want to.
Please do.
Whatever you decide. I know they're expensive. Look, I literally had to make T-shirts for a show that we're going to be doing here in a couple of weeks, and it is expensive. They are expensive. I had to shop around a lot.
I'll take your brain on that one because this one.
Yeah, I had to shop around a lot.
6 colors in it, and it was. But if I ever do another order, I will be sure to let you know. And
please do because we'll probably have to exchange information on that because I still want to see if I can get. I'm always looking to find cheaper but better, or something that I can work with and go. You know what? I can work with that because at one point the highest people wanted me to pay was $900, and I'm like. For T-shirts?
Wow!
What? No, not. And the artwork on ours is a little bit more complicated because the logo was designed by a friend of ours, a friend of the show, and I love the logos. We both love the logo so much that we decided to use it as a permanent logo. So, trying to find someone to do that. With the different colors that we had, it was expensive. Was it worth it? Yes, because I'll write it off as a tax write-off next year. But it was worth it. So I'm gonna put a size. What are we?
Medium.
Size medium.
That was before COVID.
Large.
Medium was before COVID. She's a large now.
Okay. She's a large now. Okay. Well, most of us are large to an extra large.
Not even that. And my leg goes through an extra large.
Oh, good Lord. Well, Charlotte, I love you, but I might have to. I thought an extra large would be big.
Oh no, baby, that's that. That was me in 5th grade.
I'll get you. We'll talk.
I can cut it up.
Yeah, you can cut it up. Well, because otherwise, we'll talk about that after the show. Because I just thought of you as an extra large.
Didn't
want to go any further.
Been that small in years.
Because you don't want to walk up to a queen and go, "Oh no, you wear a 3X."
Yeah.
Because that'll get your bitch slapped real quick. Even when I had to deal with, and I've learned this lesson from Charlotte. Charlotte has Bitch Boy Undies as his side gig, which has been doing very well. And we've had to do some. I've had to do some memeasuring.
I was like, don't tell them. Mm-hmm. Just measure and be like, okay, you're good. Yeah. And then Joel sometimes like, well, you're 50 or 43. I'm like, don't tell them. They get self-conscious.
They ask.
Just make up. You're like, say medium. You're a medium. Everyone's a medium. And then they get all self-conscious. Like, well, my pants. I'm like, well, you have to take into consideration that your pants are different.
Mm-hmm. Than, exactly.
Like these are made to order.
And as I've told these queens, we are trying to get rid of the body issues thing. You shouldn't be ashamed of whatever size you are.
Mm-hmm. There's some people are like, they measure to a 43. They're like, I'm a 36. I'm like, okay. Mm-hmm. That's just like, don't tell them the number. Just write it down.
And this is over underwear, and I'm like, oh wow.
Yeah, they like freak out. They freak out
over underwear, and I'm like, it's not like anybody's ever going to see. Well, maybe on certain cases, they might see it. I'm not going to talk about my.
That's why I don't put size charts on my underwear.
Yeah.
Actually, that's because it's more work, but I'm not trying to do all that.
Oh my goodness, Clayton! It has been a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
we have had so much fun. Neon Lights, they have a premiere coming up June 26th.
So,
and I cannot wait
to look forward to prior to that. April 14th is our soundtrack release, and then May 28th. We have two things coming out. The first is the trailer will finally be coming out May 28th, and another special surprise that I can't go into detail yet. But
do I already know about it? I probably already know about it. We'll be DMing each other later.
It's all the above.
Because I probably already know about it.
Once the episode ends, we can talk. But
okay, we'll talk about it when the episode ends. But
May 28th and June 26th. Those are the dates to look out for.
So I cannot wait. By the way, like I said, I will have my second shot by April 16th. So I hope there's a premiere party coming up because I want to meet all these people.
Yeah, that's one of the things I want to talk to him about because I know one of my actors is moving out to Los Angeles and one of my actors moved out to Austin. So I would like for us to all get together for some sort of premiere, but we'll just kind of have to wait and see, play it by ear.
Yeah, because you need to have like some kind of premiere party kind of thing going on. That has to happen. You got to get the cast together and get a few friends together and just celebrate the fact that you guys finally did this and you're putting it out. So there needs to be a premiere party. I will bring all the booze if necessary. Charlotte has an SUV. She can drive everybody home.
Only someone's driving me home.
Whatever you need us to do on this end, you just let us know because this show.
If you want a drag show, we'll bring the drag show.
We'll bring the drag. you might get inspired. One of your newest characters later on might be. Oh yeah,
I was looking at the updated costumes, the artwork, and I was like, okay, the detail. I was like, I can make this.
Well, and that's the thing is, so we already have helmets that are being made. So now the next thing we're gonna get.
Oh wow,
get some suits, I guess too.
So, you know what? I might commission Charlotte to do like some underwear for.
I could do that too.
Neon Lights.
It's like a whole collection inspired through the Neon Lights.
Yeah, inspired by Neon Lights. So, yes, let's get together and don't laugh about it. We can do it.
I'm able to do anything. People are like, "Can you make this, and this?"
Exactly.
I was like, "Okay."
You just send the artwork, and she can do it. And next thing you know, I'm wearing tail on my crotch.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness! So you just send the artwork and we'll make it happen. Look, I'm really just doing all this. So I really want a T-shirt.
Like I said, if we get another printing done, and I'll talk to some people and see if I can swing a deal.
Like I said, I'll send you a T-shirt. Charlotte will send you some underwear, and that'll be that. So you can have neon lights on any part of your body you want. You just send, or you can, put it on your husband. You and your husband can have matching neon lights, jock straps, or G-strings or whatever.
Speedos, briefs,
or briefs. Yeah, whatever. So
harnesses.
I'm all about the trade. We'll figure it out. We can do a trade. We can do it because I'm sorry. I need a T-shirt.
Sounds like a deal.
It sounds like a deal. Okay, so thank you, Clayton, for being on the show and for updating us and everything else. It's Clayton Yonkin, and Yonkin. Okay. Let's go down the list. The producer, director, writer, boom operator, camera operator, animator, and craft service guy of Neon Lights. I wanted to make sure I threw in craft services. Neon Lights, who is on our show for the second time, and hopefully when the premiere comes out, we can really talk, because I'm having you back on again, because real talk, I have a lot of questions.
Well, they will all be answered in time with the show.
Mm-hmm. And I want to tell the audience this: I have an insider scoop, and to you. I know details that y'all don't know, so it's good to be in this business. It really is good because Charlotte and I get all kinds of insider information about all kinds of stuff going on behind the scenes, and it's hilarious what we know, and that people are like, hey, I heard. No, you didn't hear nothing. You don't know.
Like, I don't know anything. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not telling you nothing. And then I'll go in Houston Gamers. Well, here's what I know. Which, by the way, I think is Houston Gamers is how we met. Yes. Am I correct? Yeah, Houston Gamers is how we met. So. And by the way, to those of you at Houston Gamers, I'm still trying to get you guys on the show. Whoever is doing whoever the administrator is, because I've been trying to get these guys on the show for quite some time. So, once again, I know stuff that you guys don't know. So, just throwing it out there. Just
Once
throwing it out there.
Airs, we can talk all the tea.
We can talk all day long. So. All right. Well, thank you, Clayton, for being on the show. I want to thank Charlotte for being in the studio to basically, I think Charlotte just observed mostly. Charlotte usually talks about, she is usually talking more than I am, but I think I slightly had the upper hand on this one, and I didn't mean to. So.
I was like, I didn't get to see any clips.
I know. She didn't get to see clips. Girl, we'll talk about it after the show. Just like I said, I'm like, ooh, let me tell you what's going on. Jonathan, our photographer and videographer and editor and all the stuff, is also here with us. So he's making sure he's going to take some pictures. Please make sure you get some pictures of Clayton. You need to probably send some pictures, I guess.
Take on the computer.
Yeah, exactly. Because I love the picture of you from last year with the bandana. That's awesome. And you didn't get all wrinkly, or you didn't get tan, or suddenly bulk up.
Dark circles right here.
Yeah, you didn't suddenly go to the gym and suddenly you're like all muscle now. So you're looking just like the rest of us. Fine, by the way, fine. And say hello to your husband, who I saw walking back and forth in the background. Well, he walked through the hall. And I just giggled a little bit, and I'm like, he's really trying so hard not to get it. So, is there any last thought you want to leave for the audience?
Yeah, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Neon Lights Cast, where you can see all kinds of artwork and clips and things we have coming up, and just stay tuned for more details.
Mm-hmm. And wait, do you? Is there a side? I think is it called Neon Warriors Cast on Instagram? I thought there was like a little side thing for the cast of.
So,
am I mistaken?
Cast is our Instagram page. There's no other side anything. So yeah, it's Neon Lights Cast. That'll take you to.
Okay, because I know that there was another. one. I think it was one that was supporting the show that I had seen several times. I'm trying to remember what the name of it is, but it was, like I said, it had to do with a lot of Power Rangers stuff, and we talked about that earlier, so that might be what I'm talking about. But anywho, thanks for being on the show, Clayton, and I cannot wait until the premiere party, which we will, if you want, we can broadcast live. We can do that, or the premiere, which we might actually sit down here and watch. and maybe do a show on that where we're sitting down here and watching the first 5 episodes. Are you gonna? I'm sorry. Is it 5 episodes you're putting out?
Act 1 is being released all at once.
All 5 episodes will be released at once. So we'll probably just sit here in front of my big TV and
binge watch
and just binge watch with some popcorn. Do some commentary, maybe eat some popcorn, have a glass of wine, and just let loose. So, Clayton, thank you for being on the show. We'll see you again. I know I've said that like 5 times. I always have a hard time ending the show, and everybody knows this in this room. I always have a hard time ending this show because I never know how to go. Just get out of here. We're done. I don't need to talk to you anymore.
We're done.
We're okay. We're done. Okay. So, Clay, we'll see you later. And thank you, everybody, for being here. And we will see you guys next week when we will have, I don't know who on the show, but we'll figure it out. And we'll always give you heads up on who's going to be on the show next week. But for the most part, thank you, Clayton, for being on the show. And please listen to this episode. Love, like, share, send comments, what have you. Okay, not the comments that I see on our Facebook page.
Oh, not those.
Yeah, not those. But for
not the Republican.
No, not the. I've got a Confederate flag hanging in my bedroom for whatever reason. Kind of thing.
Not those. I wonder why we get those.
Well, you know what? It's really because of when I do advertising, it just spreads out and. Instead of people just scrolling down, like I just scroll down when I see an advertisement that has nothing to do with me. But
I mean, they say listen.
But I think that
my favorite one is when they say abomination. I was like, yes, work, bitch.
I keep getting ED ads on my
ED.
A lot of ED, a lot of erectile dysfunction. It keeps popping up on my Facebook, and I'm like, is somebody trying to tell me something? I mean, I know that, you know, sometimes there might be an issue or two, but not all the time. Not all the time, so.
Well, I guess.
I guess when you turn a certain age, sometimes certain things pop up.
That's in
or for the lack of or for some of the ads, some things don't pop up anymore.
Wow.
So thank you. Yeah, I know. Wow. That, you know, I have to end the show just like this. So anyway, we're probably going to drink some wine and just talk about stuff. And if you got stuff to do, like take a nap,
I'm probably going to do that. Definitely.
You're probably going to take a nap.
It's been a rough couple days.
It's been a rough couple of days. So, like I said, I can't. You know what, Clayton? I cannot. We actually, you know, the next time you're on the show, you're actually going to sit in the studio.
I'm down for it.
Because you're actually going to sit in the studio because we'll all be vaccinated. And everybody, yes. So you'll be sitting in the studio next time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right. So, thank you for being on the show.
Bye.
Bye.
This show is sponsored by Tubi's Woodworking. Tubi gives you wood. Also brought to you by Bitch Boy Undies. Get you a pair or else. You can follow the show on most social media at That Lil Gay Talk Show. Check out the website, thatlilgaytalks.com. Music and vocals by Jamie D of Diamond Cut Entertainment.
Yay!